Intelligence is a multifaceted trait, often recognized through a variety of subtle signs rather than just raw knowledge or academic prowess. True intelligence shines through in one's ability to understand and appreciate nuances, engage in complex problem solving, and demonstrate mental flexibility. By examining these characteristics, we can gain a deeper understanding of what it truly means to be intelligent beyond conventional measures. A subtle sign that someone is very intelligent is their ability to understand and appreciate nuances. They can hold two opposing ideas in their head at the same time and evaluate them without immediate judgment. This ability reflects their openness to different perspectives and their capability to argue both sides of an issue, which can be seen when engaging in deep intellectual conversations or debates. They're usually open to challenging their own beliefs, actively looking for holes in their arguments, and readily accepting when they're wrong. They're not only driven by their emotions, but also use logic and reasoning in decision-making. They're also skillful in objectively assessing the implications of differing viewpoints without necessarily accepting them. This mental flexibility often sets them apart from the crowd. Someone is very intelligent when they're really good at problem solving. They can approach an issue, even a completely unfamiliar one, and find effective ways to solve it, sometimes by using patterns or solutions from previous problems they've encountered. They also understand their own limitations. This means if they don't know something, they don't pretend to. They'd rather take the opportunity to learn and improve their knowledge and find the solution to a problem that way. It's not about knowing everything, but about constantly seeking to learn and adapt. They value being humble enough to say, "I don't know," seeing it as a chance to learn. Also, being comfortable using the wide array of resources available today, like the internet, can make a person appear incredibly intelligent. All in all, it's not so much about knowing all the answers, but about knowing how to find them and applying them effectively. A knack for problem solving is a must-have. A good example might be the recent situation where an appellate court gave more power to an executive office. The debate that ensued and how people responded to it is a great test of intelligence. Rather than just accepting things at face value, some folks really thought it through, assessing the potential consequences and making well-informed predictions. That kind of analytical thinking could suggest a high level of intelligence, admitting, "I don't know," when they don't have an answer. This shows they understand the limits of their knowledge and don't feel the need to pretend they know everything. It also often signifies they're open to learning and are aware of the vastness of information yet to be known. Intelligence isn't just about what you know, it's understanding what you don't. When they're not just content with saying, "I don't know," but follow it up with analysis or critical thinking about the subject, it is a good sign. It also seems there could be a pattern where the more a person knows, the more they're aware of how little they actually do know. However, this sign isn't definite, as constantly saying, "I don't know," might also reflect a lack of knowledge, and some intelligent people can also be arrogant and refuse to admit they don't know something. They're aware of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where beginners often overestimate their understanding because they don't realize how much more there is to learn. A subtle sign that someone is very intelligent can be observed when they are being taught something new. They tend to care just as much, if not more, about understanding why a particular method or process is used, rather than merely mimicking or noting the procedure itself. They often question and analyze the way things are done, signaling a deep desire for comprehension rather than a simple absorption of information. They view learning as a dynamic process that goes beyond the surface level, suggesting cognitive flexibility and critical thinking skills. However, be aware that this can sometimes annoy people who aren't able to answer the why, or those who see these questions as a challenge to their authority. But don't let it discourage you. It's a great trait for continual learning and fostering understanding. They seek to understand the rationale behind actions and decisions, and are not satisfied simply following norms or rules without grasping the reasoning behind it. They tend to amass broad knowledge about many things due to their constant curiosity and scrutiny. This questioning trait, however, does not define intelligence exclusively, as there are many smart people who don't question, but still seek out and acquire knowledge in other ways. This trait, in part, could be linked to how an individual makes decisions and what motivates them. Also, it's notable that an intelligent person can explain why something is done in a particular way, as they understand the necessity of knowing every step of a process. Intelligence in this light seems to also relate to being able to handle difficulties should something not go as expected. A subtle sign that someone is very intelligent is that they're not afraid to ask questions or to be perceived as stupid. They understand it's part of a learning process, and it's better to make sure they fully understand a concept or idea rather than pretend they do. The willingness to ask questions, even though they might sound stupid, shows an open mind and a natural curiosity, which are both characteristics often found in intelligent people. However, nowadays, it's essential to mention that the way interactions happen online may skew this notion, as some negative experiences on social media have shown that good questions are sometimes met with hostility. This shouldn't always be taken as a parameter for intelligence, considering that some intelligent people might not necessarily listen when they don't regard the speaker, which leads to a conversation among different opinions of what intelligence actually is, including being caring, empathetic, and understanding as part of emotional intelligence. Anyway, the knack for asking and listening could well be seen as an indirect indicator of curiosity and eagerness to learn, both traits frequently found in very intelligent individuals. Another subtle sign that someone is very intelligent is their ability to adapt their communication style, such as their vocabulary, tone, and content, to fit the situation or people they're interacting with naturally. They can switch between complex and simplified language, depending on their audience's perceived comprehension level, which requires not only a deep understanding of the subject, but also a strong grasp of language. This is more than just social aptitude. It's a skill that allows them to effectively convey their knowledge and ideas in any setting. This adaptability often extends to different social groups and ages as well, showing they are able to fit in at any place and time. Someone is very intelligent when they can break down complex topics into simple, digestible terms without oversimplifying or misrepresenting the concept. This involves a keen understanding of the subject matter and a knack for effective communication. This ability is invaluable in teaching scenarios and in producing concise and comprehensible technical writings. It's a skill that also requires a deep level of understanding and an ability to anticipate potential misunderstandings. Yet, a caution is that not all complex ideas can be simplified without losing essential context or accuracy. So it's a delicate balance between simplification and maintaining the integrity of the information. Another sign that someone is very intelligent is that they don't just jump to conclusions in a discussion or argument. They take the time to really understand the other person's perspective, ask questions to clarify, and avoid misinterpretations. It's like they do a mental jump, making connections and understanding complex ideas intuitively. Plus, they're not the type to misquote or twist someone's words. They would rather think first before reacting. If you've ever had a conversation with someone like that, you might agree that such people are often very smart. Someone may be very intelligent when they have their eagerness to share their knowledge with others and have meaningful conversations. They get excited about having these discussions, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're always friendly about it. People like Neil deGrasse Tyson, for instance, come off as condescending at times, but also show genuine excitement about imparting knowledge. And let's not forget about intelligent people who are also introverted or have difficulty connecting with others in traditional ways. They might not exhibit this sign, but it doesn't mean they're not intelligent. So this sign isn't a foolproof method, but it's something commonly observed. They're able to turn any chat into a fascinating, deep conversation, causing people to rethink their views. They may also be skilled in conflict resolution, convincing people to compromise and move past grudges, an often overlooked sign. They'll have both high IQ, emotional intelligence, and contentment with where they are in life. It's rare, but a powerful combo when a person's EQ matches or surpasses their IQ. A subtle sign that someone is very intelligent is their ability to understand differing viewpoints without necessarily agreeing with them or getting upset over it. This shows their emotional intelligence and control, along with their ability to entertain hypotheticals. Some people might mistake probing questions for attacks, but in reality, these questions can help us to better understand each other's perspectives. Sure, there might be some trolls out there who purposely try to provoke a heated response, but a really smart person knows how to navigate these situations without it affecting their emotions. There are also moments where being able to manage how you ask questions helps to avoid coming off as provocative or accusatory. It's almost like an art of managing your emotions mixed with strategic communication. However, there are exceptions, especially when the opposing view is harmful or threatening to someone's rights or existence. In these cases, anger or rejection of these views can be seen as a completely justified response. Another subtle sign that someone may be very intelligent is their ability to quickly understand and master new concepts or skills. They might teach themselves complex software programming in just a few days or modify clunky software to improve its interface. They could be comfortable with switching between different programming languages, understanding that they are essentially dialects of each other. These people might also read manuals and actually understand them, instead of ignoring them like many do. They can quickly pick things up during board games and often use their intelligence to solve real-life problems in creative ways. Beware though, they might lack in social skills sometimes. They often have a low self-esteem and tend to underachieve due to various external pressures like bullying and societal expectations. They might deliberately put themselves in environments where they feel less smart, often resulting in them labeling themselves as wasted potential. They sometimes also grapple with imposter syndrome, feeling that they are not good enough despite their accomplishments. This stems from their heightened awareness of the complexities and uncertainties in various domains that make them doubt their competence. Being observant and reserved can be signs of intelligence. Others mentioned using qualifiers in conversation, being a good listener, and even not considering oneself intelligent as potential indications. However, some argue these traits could also just indicate self-doubt or an introverted personality type. Plus, childhood experiences or personal interests can also influence these traits. So, it's not a hard and fast rule. Intelligence can manifest in many different ways. They don't frequently or overtly assert their intelligence to others. Instead, they confidently and quietly show it through their actions and behaviors. These individuals individuals understand they're smart, but they also realize the importance of humility. They might not necessarily be brilliant at memorizing facts, as intelligence comes in many forms and isn't determined solely by such things. Emotional intelligence is also a key factor for many. However, this isn't to say there aren't exceptions. Some intelligent people may openly proclaim their intelligence, but this behavior can oftentimes be perceived as insufferable or a consequence of insecurity. Having a large head could mean someone is very intelligent, apparently. Some appear to believe it's linked with a big brain, and hence, higher intelligence. This belief seems backed by both ancient and modern scientists. But don't worry if you don't naturally have a big head. I've heard some people use hats to simulate the effect, like a giant Señor Frog's sombrero. Who knows, the intimidation factor might even land you a job interview. It's all about faking it till you make it right. Another subtle sign that someone is very intelligent could be the pause they take to think about a new question before answering. Instead of immediately blurting out a response, they're actually processing the information, analyzing it, and putting together a thoughtful response. It's like getting a whole conversation as an answer rather than just a quick reply. This characteristic is also sometimes used in professional settings like occupational health consultations to identify cognitive traits. A vast passive vocabulary often implies a high level of intelligence. They don't necessarily use obscure or complicated words to try to appear smart, but rather understand a wide range of words and complex ideas. These individuals are often good listeners, capable of absorbing and recognizing nuances in different kinds of information or discussions. So basically, they're smarty pants without flaunting it. Intelligence can be shown by someone who is creative, has a good sense of humor, and is able to articulate their thoughts well. However, being intelligent isn't just about these outward cues. It's also about how you interact with others. It's not limited to those who are socially awkward or those who possess technical knowledge or domain expertise. It's important to note that intelligence encompasses emotional and social intelligence too. People who have well-rounded forms of intelligence are more open-minded, empathetic, and are able to understand and engage effectively in social situations. So it's not just about solving equations quickly or knowing technical jargon. It's also about understanding people and being able to form meaningful relationships. Lastly, having great intuition and problem-solving skills is an indicator of true intelligence. People who talk in metaphors a lot can be a sign of intelligence. They often use them to explain complicated topics or to better express how they feel, even if it's just for their own understanding. It's like they constantly have this language toolbox in their heads, full of metaphorical tools to sort and make sense of things. However, they also know when an analogy is more confusing than helpful and decide not to use it. It's funny because lots of us with ADHD do this constantly, though sometimes these metaphors can be quite elaborate, like comparing social drama to a nuclear disaster. So, I guess it can be a mix of smarts and creativity. Another subtle sign that someone is very intelligent could be how efficient and elegant they are in completing tasks. They might do things in a way that's more like ballet than walking, turning an ordinary task into something extraordinary. Though they also might have moments where they just don't want to dance anymore. Also, a lot of times the most intelligent ones tend to get work done way faster than others. Kinda like those top-notch surgeons who have no wasted movements and finish quickly. A good sign someone is intelligent could be that they avoid arguing with individuals who lack logical thinking or reasoning. Instead of trying to change these folks' views, they might engage with them as a kind of social experiment or for amusement, trying to understand the thought process behind their views. They might also study patterns in these arguments, strategically defeating them without getting emotionally involved. Lastly, they could just let these people have their own debates, steering clear of the pointless drama. Often, these individuals are wiser as well, understanding that their energy could be better spent elsewhere. However, it's important to note that this sign does not apply to everyone with a high level of intelligence. Some intelligent people, especially those with something like ADHD, may still engage in arguments because of impulsivity or short-sightedness. Also, let's not confuse this trait with being cool or emotional intelligence. The refusal to argue does not necessarily indicate a person's emotional aptitude or their social standing. It's more about a person's understanding and application of their knowledge. One hint that someone might be really smart is their ability to use dry humor effectively. It requires being quick-witted and observant, and it's often done in such a laid-back manner that it understates its own cleverness. So if their off-the-cuff remarks often leave you laughing as you realize just how deep they are, then there's a good chance they're pretty sharp. Like the example of the kid who rickrolled his dad in the middle of a parenting moment. That's some next-level intelligence right there. Also, some might argue that there's a link between intelligence and melancholy. In conclusion, the ability to appreciate nuances, balance opposing ideas, and engage in deep intellectual discourse are critical indicators. Intelligent individuals demonstrate openness to different perspectives, challenge their own beliefs, and embrace logical reasoning alongside emotional insight. Ultimately, intelligence is not defined by what one knows, but by the continuous effort to seek knowledge, understand its boundaries, and apply it effectively. So, did you find anything I said unfair? If it's the case, I invite you to add a comment so everyone can see your opinion. Also, for more tips, make sure to subscribe. Bye.